The Slender Man by Claire Casey, from the Dance Macabre, a collection of short stories and flash fiction. "Hello, detective," I sighed. "I know why you've come. In all honesty, I had thought that you'd have been here before now." "Is that so?" Nodding in reply, I watched him. He sat down on the other side of the table, facing me. There was a weariness in his eyes. That was the look of someone who'd seen too much, too young, and could do nothing about it. I may have been watching him, but there were others who were keeping a closer eye on me, while keeping themselves out of sight. My wrists were cuffed and secured to the table in front of me. None of them were willing to take the chance. There was no reason for them to trust me. The detective shuffled some paperwork before continuing. "As you all know, over the past few weeks, there had been a spate of disappearances. All of them have been children, and none of them have been found. It looks like we have a copycat on our hands," the detective told me. Stopping, he looked at me. With a sigh, he continued, "We need to talk to you about them. Given your history, you might be able to give us some insight into what's going on and who might be behind these disappearances." Shifting where I sat, I looked away from him. The interview room was bland, bare, and windowless. There was nothing but a table and some chairs to fill it. It reminded me of the police dramas that my parents had watched when I was a child. That was another life, and long before my world was restricted within the walls of the prison. "These are no copycat disappearances," I assured him. "He's returned, and we all know how that's going to play out." A small suburban park was filled with shouts and laughter. Children chased each other and played their games. The adults looked on, smiling at the innocent happiness of childhood, while they gossiped about everything that had taken place over the past few days. The schools were out for the summer, and the good weather was holding, proving to be better than any of the parents had hoped for. No one paid any attention to the woods that stood at the back of the play park. It was somewhere that the children were told to stay out of. No one could give a reason for why the woods were dangerous. It had been that way for generations, and no one questioned it. As the afternoon kept closer to evening, parents and children started to drift off home. But there was one mother who stood alone, looking for something that wasn't there. "Nicola, where are you?" she shouted. "Come on, Nicola, stop hiding. We have to head home." Some of the other parents had stopped, glancing at each other. All of them watched what was going on, unsure of what to do next. One of the other mothers walked back. "Are you all right?" "I can't find her. Nicola was playing here a moment ago, but she's disappeared. I need to find her," the mother sobbed. I sat on the bench on the side of the play park, watching as others began to look for Nicola. One of the parents was on their phone. Even at that age, the fear and panic on the faces of the adults was clear to see. I had seen the girl as she walked over to the edges of the woods, but I hadn't seen where she'd gone. The sound of sirens filled the air, and the evening was filled with blue, flashing lights. The police walked amongst us, asking everyone there what they had seen. Even then, I knew that Nicola would never be found. She'd somehow gone out of the world with no trace of her being left behind. With the agreement of the police, people slowly began to make their way home, taking their children with them. All the children looked behind them, their eyes drawn towards the tree line. I was the only child who didn't look back. I just couldn't bring myself to do so. "It was Slender Man," one of the children whispered. "I saw him at the edge of the wood. He was just standing there watching us," someone else added. "Don't talk nonsense," one of the adults hissed. "There's no such thing as Slender Man." "How do you think Nicola's mother is going to feel if she hears you talking about Slender Man? She's upset enough as it is without hearing your nonsense," one of the other parents added. No one else said anything, but a silent fear was shared out in the glances of the children. They knew what they had seen. The dismissal of the adults did not take away what lurked on the edges of the woods and watched them from the shadows.